And whether you're watching this right at the start or far into the season, it's obvious that most of us want to maximize our point gain in Arena. That's why in this video, I'll be giving you some of the best tips that you need to know to maximize your point gain and reach champs extremely fast in Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 7. If you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like on it and consider subscribing as well if you're new and want to see more content just like this in the future. Finally guys, if you're buying the Season 7 Battle Pass, it would really mean a lot to me if you could use code TECHO on it. Or if it's not my code, then just be sure you've got someone's code in, as it really helps us content creators a bunch. And before we hop into this video guys, I'd like to talk to you about probably the best way to improve at Fortnite this season, and that's Novos. If you haven't heard of Novos before, let me explain it to you. Novos is the ultimate training platform for Fortnite, where you receive a customized full day-by-day training plan to step up your game in Season 7, with courses and routines by some of the world's best coaches including Aimer7, Tito, Reese Hub, myself, and many others. As well as that, Novos also recently added their knowledge section where you can find some of the top videos for each category of your gameplay, as well as workshops constantly being added to the website as well. Seriously guys, signing up for Novos is one of the best things that you can do if you're looking to improve at Fortnite. So if you're interested in signing up, I'll be putting a link at the top of the description to their website, novos.gg, so you can get a free trial and see just how great Novos is before you commit to anything. With that said, thank you Novos for sponsoring this video, and without further ado, let's get into it. So with that said, the first thing I want to discuss in this video is the competitive preseason, just so you all kind of know what the situation is with that. So if you're watching this at the start of Season 7, you've probably realized that your arena points haven't reset yet, and your Season 6 points are still displayed. This is due to a feature called the competitive everyone's arena points. Either way, it's still super important that you learn the meta and prepare, that way you're ready to grind out arena and hit champs once the points do reset. And of course, if it's after June 22nd for you, then the points are already reset and you can kind of just disregard this part. With that said, now that we've discussed the competitive preseason and all that stuff, let's hop into the juicy part of this video. So my first tip for this section of the video, as you might expect, is which game mode to play. And honestly, this season is going to stay relatively the same as previous one. If you're looking to purely maximize point gain, however, I recommend that you play solos, since the points per kill are way higher than duos and trios, and placement points come way earlier since there's no rebooting, and since duo and trio placements are based on remaining teams instead of overall players. So in conclusion for this part, if you want to play duos or trios, that's perfectly fine, but keep in mind that solos is going to be really beneficial if you're looking to gain the most points in the least time. So as you might expect, the first critical aspect of a successful arena game comes down to your drop spot, and honestly the map has changed a pretty reasonable amount this season, with numerous edge map POIs having built-in launch pad, some aesthetic changes in places like Sweaty Sands, the new purple area around the middle of the map. Overall, there's been a decent bit of change. When it comes to arena landing spots, in my opinion, it really depends on which division you're in. For lower divisions, especially if you're a good player who can wipe out a bunch of fights, then I recommend you land a hot drop, since it'll allow you to get a bunch of kills and rank up faster. However, once you reach a higher division, typically anywhere from Division 5 to Champs depending on your skill level, you're going to want to start dropping at some of the less contested spots, since that'll allow you to safely loot up and farm up. Then you can rotate safely and only take intelligent fights. A few complex, which is stacked with loot and materials, and Bony Burbs, which as you know is basically the tilted towers of this season. On the other hand, if you're going for a more passive playstyle and trying to rack up placement points, especially in higher divisions, a few spots I recommend for that are the Castle by Sweaty Sands, which is a great drop since it also has a nearby satellite where you can farm up metal along with a built-in launch pad there. And you've also got Camp Cod, which is a relatively safe spot with very few people, but it also might require some long rotations, as well as the houses northwest of Steamy Stacks, which is a really nice overall drop spot and has some rotations into some other really good spots as well. With that said, aside from your drop spot, it's also really critical that you utilize vending machines this season if they're available to you. If you don't know, a bunch of vending machines have been added around the map, which give you solid loot for a pretty low price, which is in gold. I really like this change, as it gives more incentive to farm up gold and can really make for some interesting new strategies. I definitely recommend that you try to get a good amount of gold in your games and grab some extra loot from vending machines, as they're a really helpful way to improve your loot path. As well as the vending machines, another tip you're going to really want to keep in mind is launch pads. As you may know, launch pads have been unvaulted this season, and you're really going to want to try and utilize these around the 5th and 6th zones in your games, as they're really a great way to rotate an endgame. You can also, once you run into some solid endgames in the higher divisions, they end up being a lot more useful in the later stages of the game. And if you're curious, a few more changes include the re-addition of the hand cannon, suppressed SMG, pistol, heavy AR, and the bolt action sniper. Since the bolt action is back, you're also going to want to be extra careful about how much you peek long distance, as getting headshot sniped is going to be a concern once again. There's also a few new weapons like the Chimera ray gun, I hope I pronounced that right, along with the pulse rifle and the railgun, which seems to be really OP, but we're just going to have to see how it turns out. At the time of recording this, I haven't actually had the chance to try out any of these, but I strongly recommend that you guys pick these up as often as possible so you can learn the mechanics and figure out how to use them effectively. Obviously, the earlier you can learn the new meta, the better. As well as that, another massive change is the huge nerf to craft crafting, making crafting almost useless in this season. You can only actually craft a few different weapons, but you can also implement upgrade benches into your strategy once again, as they've been introduced with gold as a currency instead of materials. It is pretty expensive, but if you land at a spot with a good amount of gold, then it's worth considering in your strategy. And finally guys, apart from all those tips, my biggest tip is to simply grind out a bunch of arena. It seems like a common sense tip, but seriously guys, one of the best ways to master the meta and improve this season is going to be to simply hop in and get a bunch of practice in. This helps you both learn the meta and develop your strategy, along with giving you the most opportunity to gain points. It's going to take some time, but if you're consistently grinding out arena and trying to improve, you're bound to gain a bunch of points over time and get a lot better at the game. With that said though, that's going to wrap it up for this video on how to gain the most arena points possible in Chapter 2 Season 7. This season is still fairly new at the time of recording this video, and you already know your boy's going to be grinding out a bunch of tips and tricks content this season. So if you want to see more content just like this as the season progresses, then be sure to subscribe to the channel. As well as that, be sure to drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and if you're buying the Season 7 Battle Pass or any other cosmetics, it would really mean a lot if you could use code TECHO in the item shop for that. And finally guys, be sure to check out Novos down in the description to get your customized Season 7 training plan along with all their other awesome content. With all that said though, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.